In this segment, we're going to take a look at the view options. And there are several different locations of different options of how we can view the embroidery designs. So what we'll do is get started by just looking at the left-hand menu and show you, I guess, first of all, we have a zoom tool. And if I click on the zoom tool, it flies it open. You can see we've got zoom in, we've got zoom out, and we've got zoom all. Now, if I just choose zoom in and then show you, it gives me the magnifying glass, and basically what it wants me to do is to click and drag to draw a box. And when I let go, it zooms into that box. Now, if I wanted to, I could say, click on this tool again and then choose maybe zoom all. And now what it does is it just puts everything on my screen at one time. And of course, you've got zoom in, zoom out, zoom all. I also like to use for zooming my scroll mouse. So for example, I can zoom out and keep zooming out as much as I want, or I can scroll the other way and zoom in as much as I want. So there's other ways to zoom than not just with the zoom tool itself. Now, what if I'm zoomed in like this and I kind of want to be able to move around on my screen? Well, of course, I can always use the scroll bars to move around, but you also have a panning tool, and that's this little hand here. And if I click on the hand, it's your ability to click and drag on your design and move it around on your screen until you see the part of the design that you want to look at. So that's the panning tool. And another viewing option is your measurement tool. And here, if I turn on the measurement tool, you'll see here that it's given a very small, I'll zoom right in on this, so we have a very small little, I guess, cross, or the icon is at the top of the ruler anyway. And wherever I place that, and then click and drag, you'll see what it does. It actually creates a ruler that enables us to measure from. And if I let go, it lets go of the ruler, but it still has the tool. So I could measure again. I could measure again. And when I'm done measuring, I need to right click to let go of that tool. So now also we have a slow redraw option, and again, that's one of the different ways that you can view your design. And I guess it would help if I zoom out a little bit, and if it takes all the stitches away, and if I push start, it starts sewing my design, and I can see this little sort of emulation of the needle, and it's going around and sewing this design. And if I push I can actually move, stop, I can actually move within the, this is the speed of how fast it's going to sew. So you could make it slow redraw very slowly or very quickly. And I'll just go ahead and show it goes much faster if I turn that number up. You can move the design to like the beginning, or back one stitch, forward one stitch, back by several stitches, or back all the way to the beginning, or forward one stitch, forward by I guess one object, or forward all the way to the end of the design. So all the way to the end of the design, all the way to the beginning of the design, and then the ability to move the embroidery frame. So if I choose, I guess it's like a choice, move head or move frame. So for example, if I zoom in really closely and I tell it to move the frame, then when it starts, it moves the frame with it. Now if I stop this and change it to move head and push start, then it actually moves with you at the same time. So just slightly different ways that you can control that slow redraw. Now that's just going to make us get seasick if I leave that on there like that for too long. So anyway, that's the slow redraw function, and when I'm done using it, I can just simply click off to finish using it. Also, as far as view options goes, under the view drop-down menu, you can control things like whether you have a 3D preview on or off, and notice there's a hotkey for that. It's the letter P. So if I click on it, it gives me the regular stitches, not in 3D mode. If I choose back, view, 3D preview, it just makes those stitches have more of a 3D look to them. Now also under the view menu would be things, and they'll show, the rest of these will show a lot better if I turn the 3D preview off. For example, with the 3D preview off, you can see that I have the stitch points turned on, and if I zoom in even closer here, you can easily see the white dots are the actual stitch points, but if I didn't want those on, I would just uncheck stitch points and they would go away. Now, you can also see that I have the artwork being displayed behind these stitches, and if you didn't want to see the artwork under the view drop-down menu, you can choose to not show the outline design, and it'll just show you the stitches without the artwork behind them. So again, that's turned off. This is turned off. If I turn the stitches off, you're going to see basically nothing. Although if I turn the outline back on, now we can see just the artwork. If I turn the stitches back on, now we can see the artwork and the stitches. If I turn the stitch points back on, we see the artwork, the stitches, and the stitch points. And if I change back to be the 3D preview, then we get the stitch points go away and we get the 3D preview. Also found under the View drop-down menu, we have Set the Light Source. And in this case, it has to do with the 3D preview, and you can adjust the way it looks by changing the light source. So if I save that, it's going to change basically the appearance of the 3D preview. And let's see, also under the View drop-down menu, I had the thread, the thickness view. And so you can see here areas that have been, the number of times that they've been overlapped will create them to be darker and darker colors. So the green has been overlapped by these other stitches, so they've turned yellow, but where those stitches overlap, they've turned orange. So it's really just a way of looking at your design to get an idea of anywhere that may be heavier than another area. And so I'll turn that thickness view back off. Now I can see the sequence manager, and this really isn't one of the view. That's to turn on and off the sequence manager. So my sequence manager is no longer visible on my screen, but if I say view and then turn it back on, I get my sequence manager turned back on. So those are some of the different ways that we can view our designs. Now, what about if I just start a new image and bring in a piece of artwork? So I think I can just go ahead and select. I'll go ahead and select this. Maybe I'll just put the heart on my screen. It's just a little bit smaller, and go next. And we're going to open it up as a backdrop. Actually, let's go ahead and automatically convert this to embroidery. It won't just take but a second. Go ahead and just do it. Doesn't matter what it turns out like. And finish. Okay, so basically we have created some embroidery and the artwork is behind there, but we don't see it real well. Now, if you go under the View drop-down menu, you can have your backdrop hidden, so don't show me the backdrop altogether. Maybe if I go View 3D Preview off, then we will be able to see better. For example, maybe I'll delete that background. Okay, so View, backdrop, it's hidden right now. If I put it below the embroidery, you can see my white square, and you can see in here the red is behind the embroidery. If I say View, backdrop, washed out, it fades it a little bit, makes it a little bit less bold. If I say View, backdrop, above embroidery, it's going to bring that image up so that we can easily see the artwork. And yes, the stitches are there, but they're hidden behind the artwork. And again, backdrop, and then we have the properties options for that backdrop. So if you wanted to change, I don't know, rotate the artwork or adjust the size of the artwork, then that's where you would access that. So under the View drop-down menu, backdrop, below embroidery, and notice, again, looking at that, they have hotkeys. So hiding the artwork is as easy as pushing Alt and number 1, or below is Alt number 2, washed out Alt 3, and above embroidery Alt 4. So I'll just demonstrate. If I click on my Alt key and then 1, it hides the artwork. Alt number 2 brings it back in. Alt 3 washes it out, and Alt 4 puts it on top. So I'll go back to Alt 2, Alt 1. So again, as you learn to digitize, understanding things like hotkeys are going to be one of your ways to be able to overall affect the how easy it is to access these menus and whatnot. So that's an overview of the different ways that you can enhance the way that you view your embroidery designs.